the Around the NFL podcast. There's a quiet storm brewing.
From the Chris Wessling Podcast Studio, it's Around the NFL. I am Dan Hanzus. I have heroes along for the ride, Gregg Rosenthal and Marc Sessler. But, Marc, we are not alone.
I cannot stand what you've done already.
What?
We opened the show previously, and you did not lace in that insulting intro of me. And then the second time around we do it, you announce my name that way?
Whoa.
Incorrect.
I love the way this is beginning.
Whoa. Sessdog coming in hot, and I love it. To my right, legend.
Hey everybody, it's Colleen Wolfe.
Let's go eat box! Let's eat box! Let's go eat box! Let's eat box!
Welcome back, Colleen.
Thank you. This is kind of fun. Reminds me of high school.
Catchy.
Little 311 vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had a lot of different phases musically in your life.
I have an eclectic
Yeah.
mix of music that I really like. And yeah, I went to the Beach Life Festival in Hermosa,
Yep.
and they had the Dirty Heads there, which remind me a lot of 311. So I actually have been listening to a lot of 311 lately, randomly. So this kind of like fits right in.
I'm surprised it ages well enough for getting repeat listenings in the year 2024.
It's more of like a beach
Wow,
vibe,
great.
like a 311 radio that brings in some
Okay.
other like reggae tones and stuff too.
Am I the only person that doesn't hear 311 at all in that song?
Really?
I didn't really hear it. I hear like a pop punk type vibe, almost like maybe a little ska sneaking in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to see you, Connie.
Well, hey guys.
Been a while.
I know.
Been a while.
Dan is sick, and it's already unnerving me a bit that he's sitting next to me, did not tell me that he had a fever yesterday.
I'd say, yes, he may be sick, but he's brave. Because it's brave to, I know you were cuddled up under a quilt at home with
tough. Tough Wednesday.
Yeah, but here you are, and so it's like that says a lot about you, but also you have exposed us to potential illness.
This is a good rebound, though. Like I'm surprised that you were as sick as you say.
It is a good rebound. I agree. I rebounded.
As you say you were.
My wife was giving me a hard time this morning that I was perhaps taking the symptoms too seriously.
What?
Which was a total trap because I know what she's trying to do.
What did she call you?
I mean, listen, the old insinuation that men can't handle getting a cold is how she put it. The little C, how I put it. And then like she wants me to then say, well, yeah, but women also complain about other things. Didn't do it. Didn't take the cheese. Didn't take the cheese.
In your weakened, maybe intellectual state, physically and intellectually, she's trying to trap you, and you didn't go down that road. I
didn't have the strength to do it. But
So
I
this
wanted to
wasn't
be
like a
here.
phantom thread situation where she truly only loves you when you're sick
sure
and
that's
taking
exactly
care of
what she was doing, Dan.
She does not love me when I'm sick. All right, today's show. Also, the only thing I did do to enrage her when she was getting for work is I put on "I Am the Warrior" by Patti Smythe.
Oh my God.
I just put it on loop until she came in and said, "I get it."
God bless Emily. Honestly, she's a saint.
All right, today's show. Here we go. It is May 9th. That's an interesting time on the calendar. Interesting in the fact that it's not a very interesting time on the calendar. But we're going to have fun because we're going to do a little bit of news in a bit. We're going to have a fun seg. Feel like a high level, a potential breakdown here in communication. Like, will Connie get the seg?
Why is it on me? Why is it? I don't like this pattern of me being the problem.
Again. It's happening again. I'm sorry. I'm just saying
Maybe
that
Gregg gets it wrong. Maybe Marc gets it wrong. Maybe you have it different than all of us.
I need Dan to go first to set the template,
Exactly.
and then I'm going to follow it. And I want to just see how Marc's simmering nature to start the show, how that continues.
You came in real hot there.
Forward.
I don't like that the way that you.
Which one was it?
I mean, I know why. It's because we were on the
you wouldn't
docket.
like it, Greg.
It builds slowly. It's like a boiling pot of water.
Right.
As we get further and further away from the original estimated time to start the show.
But we have like a cocktail hour before we actually start the program. So we do like a little mingling first.
Yeah, mine is
that
the
was
cocktails,
that was
just
blowing
sitting here
over.
with,
That was
with
the-
our computers. Like,
The show needs to simmer a little bit before the mics turn on, and you guys are all going to be the beneficiaries of a tremendous show. The schedule release, by the way, and I am so annoyed about hearing about when the schedule's coming out, as if it's the be-all, end-all, but we still don't know the exact day, although we kind of do know the exact day, but it hasn't been officially announced, so it's coming out next week, as we understand it. So originally there was an idea that it might be around now. It's going to be next week, and then we'll talk about it then. So there's your update on the schedule release. All right, let's get to the news first.
Best baller at guard, left side. Hundley holds, steps up. Hundley sacked. T.J. Watt. NFL history. Watt has tied Michael Strahan's single-season record, 22.5 sacks.
What a moment.
Let me just start by saying thank you to the listeners of our show who are always so supportive of my bottomless well of pity bullshit. I have to say, you people make sure I see the things that need to be seen, and I appreciate you for that. With that said, what you heard right there was T.J. Watt taking down not Lamar Jackson, that was Ty Huntley, for sack number 22.5 in the 2021 season. That tied, as you heard, what was that, the bird? No, that was Iron Eagle.
yeah, I type a bird, but yeah.
What was the old, when it was Fouts and Iron Eagle, what were they? The bird and the
Bird in the beard.
Bird in the beard. Anyway, that tied Michael Strahan's NFL record that had been set 20 years earlier. A record, Mark, as you know. I've been very vocal and consistent in denigrating because Brett Favre, for those that don't know, slid at Strahan's feet in a pre-orchestrated flop job to give him the record that was previously held, not for nothing, by Jets great Marc Gastineau. Anyway, get out the red string because this story goes even deeper. Let's head to it. Let me see it. From Jaguar Gator 9 on Twitter. Okay, while researching for this video, I may have uncovered something absolutely insane. I don't think Michael Strahan's sack record from 2001 is legitimate. He didn't have 22.5 sacks. It was a stat error. And no, I'm not talking about Brett Favre's sack in Week 17.
What?
Next tweet. And he goes on to show this play from Week 8 against the Cowboys counted as a sack for Strahan. Clint Storner snaps the ball at the 44-yard line. He makes it to the 43.5-yard line. He gains half a yard. You can even see it on the official on the near side ahead of where the original line of scrimmage was. And yet, despite the quarterback gaining yardage, they credited Strahan with the sack.
Well, that's a
Wait, in what week was that sack?
That was Week 8
Okay.
against the Cowboys.
Can they go back and change that?
No, but we can. We can just no longer recognize that. And I think as, an NFL podcast at the league, we have some influence and we can be the change that we want to see in the world.
Our
Famously.
reality is completely shattered.
Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah, Prince once said that.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think number one, let's talk about the fact that it's an incredible piece of, 11th hour journalism, not even the 11th hour the next day.
Right.
I mean, this happened a long time ago.
Apparently, this is an unrelated project that Jaguar Gator 9 was working on, and he just stumbled upon a historic malfunction in the stat keeping of the National Football League.
I'm impressed, and I think it's another example of not just your bravery, Dan, to be here today, but this is a case you've been on personally for a long time. And while you also, not unlike others, pointed to the Favre sack, you could sense that something else was amiss all along, and Jaguar Gator 9 has helped you in that effort.
That was your intuition talking to you, Dan.
He's helped us. He's helped us all. Thank you, Colleen.
Your intuition or this guy?
I mean,
I'm not taking any credit for it. I'm saying Jaguar Gator 9 deserves all of the credit. And you know who deserves none of the credit? Michael Strahan. Because I'm down to take 2 sacks away. If we're the tastemakers here, let's knock him down to 20.5.
Maybe we should investigate all of these records, honestly.
Well,
That
if you
seems
think
like
if
a
you
lot
think
of-
about every rushing play that's basically ever happened in the NFL, there's some. It's when it's 3.5 yards. Do you give him 4 or do you give him 3? It's like how on top of things are we really on all this stuff?
Do you get credit for a sack if you get back to the line of scrimmage?
No.
I don't think so, right?
No. Once it's at the line of scrimmage, you don't get it. And that sounds like this case is one where
He's closer to gaining a full yard than half a yard.
Wouldn't it be on Michael Strahan, who's still alive and with us, and is a thinking individual, to say
Accountability.
I can't claim this record.
Yes, that's the next step, and I'm sure someone will reach out to
Well,
Strahan.
have you guys reached out? Maybe that's the next
Not
step.
yet.
Well, it is. We were talking about this. What was the story? How the NFL, when it's slow, the news that does come up starts to snowball fast because there's nothing else to talk about. Someone's going to reach out to Strahan very quickly on this, and we'll see if he could be man enough to acknowledge the truth.
There also was, remember back in the day, and this was a big storyline on this podcast, that Al Baker was actually the unofficial holder.
Well,
We spent like a
I
solid,
think we had Al on the show.
Bubba Baker. Absolutely.
we spent a solid week on this.
Oh my God.
Al Baker in 1978 had the unofficial record before they kept track of sacks, and we wanted to recognize him. So this really is a passion project for you, Dave.
No limits to the pettiness. All right, let's get to the rest of the news. Greg, explain to me how this works. So the Patriots are continuing to interview for executive vice president of player personnel. They have not had this team an official general manager since 1990.
Well, that's silly.
Bill Belichick was the de facto GM while he was there forever.
Same with Parcells.
Elliot Wolfe this offseason was the de facto. Enough with the de facto.
Yeah,
by the way.
cancel
Can we calm
that word.
down a little bit with de facto? Anyway, so this team is not looking for a GM, but they are looking for the EVP of player personnel. I don't know why that guy's not in place before the draft.
Exactly.
But who is it going to be, and why is it happening in the middle of May?
I think other people in the NFL that were asked to interview for this job believe it's going to be Elliot Wolfe, and so they refused the interview. Pro Football Talk's been writing like all the different people that have.
And yes, this is our lead news item.
Right,
today.
but it is ridiculous, and it's just sort of a note that like they're probably going through a charade to then land on.
Charade.
Well, and if not, then they
Charade.
just let Elliot Wolfe run the draft and made these important decisions. And it does make you wonder exactly like what's going on here. Who's making these decisions? Like, let's be definitive.
Is this because of the Rooney Rule?
That could be
I
that could
think
be part
that-
of it, that they have to.
I think that's why.
Haze, Connie, way to sniff it out.
But I would think that the Rooney Rule would have a rule within the rule that it would have to be done before the draft, right?
Well, I guess this is the time of year that
Rule
scouting
within the
departments and general managers do often change or whatever. But it does seem a little outrageous. And there's been talk of like who's making all the decisions here. Just why not give a GM job to?
Why are they
Even when
very
Pete Carroll was
hesitant?
there, they didn't. I mean, you have a lead executive. Who was it with Pete Carroll? Gosh, I forget his name. Greer, I believe it was Bobby Greer was his name. So like, and there was clashes between him and the coach and Pete Carroll, and so you gotta look and wonder who's making the decisions.
It's fair to ask that question, Greg. In other news, after playing the Chiefs in 2 straight
I love
AFC
Maggie.
title games, Joe Burrow had to sit out last year for most of it anyway, including the most important games of the year because he suffered that terrible wrist injury. Oh, what a mess 2023 was. One injury after another at the game's most important positions, many of them right on island games. Who could forget Burrow bending over, doubling over in pain after trying to do a warm-up throw on the sideline? Imagine as a Bengals fan the way you felt at that moment. Anyway, now
Oh, that's
he's
right.
back.
That was a Thursday night game.
It was. And now he's back. He's ready to return. He's ready to kind of get back to where he was, which is Patrick Mahomes' #1 nemesis. Here's what he said at a Tuesday press conference when asked about the defending back-to-back champion Chiefs.
Yeah, they were great. Their defense was one of the best in the league. They have great players on that side of the ball. And then obviously they got Patrick and Travis and their O-line and those playmakers. So, they're the gold standard right now. Everybody's chasing them. Obviously, they're back-to-back world champs. Somebody's got to knock them off. I'm hoping it's us.
At the risk of repeating myself, I've said multiple times on the show what a bummer it was when Burrow and the Bengals exited from the conversation last year because they are such a great foil and challenger to the Chiefs. and you get the feeling that Burrow, who, by the way, we're hearing has really gone next level in training, and as he looks to...
Oh, yeah, he's not skipping any meals. That's what I
No
heard.
meals being skipped. This is
Bulked
comeback season.
up a little bit.
Bulked up. All those old tropes are in play. But with Burrow, I kind of buy in because I think he's that type of killer.
They are the team that they knocked off the Chiefs in the AFC title game. They've beaten them in each of the. They beat them in the regular season 2 years ago and 3 years ago. We're a bit more than the Bills, so I see them as the better challenger. But I will say this: last year, like you're in a division where you came in fourth, so there's 3 other teams you need to take care of first. And one of those teams went through about 6 quarterbacks and made the playoffs. The others was the Steelers, who decided their starter shouldn't be their starter about 8 minutes after the season ended. So I get it, but come on,
Spicy
Bengals.
cess dog.
Well, it's a team
Spicy,
sport.
if you're spicy,
At
you're
this point, it's
spicy.
wind in the willows and just a wind gust to talk about someone's got to take over the Chiefs. Like, we get that. That's not news.
It is interesting that within that same division, you have Joe Burrow, who's bulking up, and he's saying that he's seen results and he's got his meal schedule on and everything else. And then Lamar Jackson, who is slimming down and doing the opposite. Leaning
He said
out.
he's down at 205.
Like 20 pounds?
like 15 pounds. That's
Yeah, that's a lot.
surprising.
Was Burrow not on a diet plan before this offseason?
I think he just
Maybe
is
the
adding,
rehab
He's
and stuff,
adding
like-
some weight. That Bengals team last year wasn't going anywhere because the defense stunk. As far as that's not the only reason they made the Super Bowl, but it's the main reason they made the Super Bowl. They carried Joe Burrow in some ways, who had maybe his worst 3-game stretch of the year in the playoffs before the Super Bowl. I also noticed he was getting creative, and I don't think Marc or any of us would like this because I'll put myself into it. He suggested talking about the potential 18-game schedule. If that happens, he also wants like a second bye week in there at some point. So we're really pushing this.
Schedule release is just
I like the
be in
second
middle
bye
of the
week.
schedule.
I like the second bye week better than the 18th game. Just add a second bye for everyone. If you want to add a week, don't add a game, and that does make the week the season longer, and then you finish and you have a national holiday.
Well, we know
the week after.
we know
It's
that's happening. And I think it's where the season is going to stretch nearly into March at this point. That's life. That's how it's going to work.
And that would
I think just
probably
one
work
week,
out
yeah.
for the international games, though, too.
Well, there'll be 9 of those. So I mean, it's like I think let's stop. Like,
It is
don't
a
push against it. It's just what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slow creep, by the way, because I have a tradition with my bosom buddy Bob and our families. We go to Big Bear that President's Day weekend. And 5 years ago, it was two weeks clear of the Super Bowl. In the last couple of years, it's been now 1 week clear of the Super Bowl. And now, whenever the next labor agreement or whatever it is comes in, it will be that week. And there will be no more trips, Marc, to Big Bear. No more memories. It will be see ya at the game.
You'll have different memories. They'll be very different.
It really gives me extra anxiety with tax season, too. Like, the more the NFL season
feel that.
expands, the more, like, the deadline gets closer and there's
Suddenly-
less time to figure things out.
The season ends and it's just
Little
like
tax talk.
you got to take,
I hate
take
it
care
so
of
much.
May
all
night
of your
pod.
life stuff.
Transactions. Tyler Boyd is off the market. The wide receiver goes to the Titans. Okay, it's a nice little signing for Tennessee on May 9th. Allen Robinson signs with the Giants. Who cares? Andrews Pete, the offensive lineman, to the Raiders. By the way, while we're here, Big Funk, how are you, bud? What's up?
How's it going?
So, let's hear it.
Sorry.
Well, Funk is, if the listeners have noted, I don't know if we brought it up, but ATPs, him and his wife are getting very close to the arrival of the baby. So now you have, let's hear it, dude. Yeah. Now you have Funk helping us out every Thursday behind the glass.
Very capably.
Oh, I love this.
And he's doing great. Ooh, listen to that. So, Funk, I kind of forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. I'm not 100%.
Oh, God.
Brain fog.
Yep.
I do like when you just clear your throat every 5 minutes or so. though.
Can you pull up the Graybeards
Sure.
roster? Let's see who's
Oh,
left.
wow.
I
Because
wish
I
we
think,
had like a partition I could put up between me and Dan.
You could be like Kirk
cup
Cousins.
it up, all of you.
Remember Kirk? He was in his own little booth.
Whatever happened to Gary Cooper? The Graybeards roster, which we put together as a group about a month ago now, I want to say. Who's left? Let's see. Ryan Tannehill and Blaine Gabbert at quarterback. Tannehill's
They're
out
available.
there. Zeke is now signed by the
No.
Cowboys. Jarek McKinnon.
Still around.
Wide receivers, Odell. He is off the market. Boyd is now off the market. Michael Thomas.
Still out there. 101 on the top 101.
MVS.
Available.
Tight ends, Logan Thomas and Mercedes Lewis.
Available.
This feels like a quiz.
Big Bone Randy at kicker.
Eternally available.
Sean Lentette at punter. We did it.
Landed a 67.
Should have him on the show.
Andrews Pete is taken out. But yeah, most of them are still
Stephon
available.
Gilmore still there.
A lot of cornerbacks. Xavier Howard's another one we mentioned the other day. Tyler Boyd is actually a meaningful signing, I feel like, for this late in the mix.
I think it's a good move.
Just because they're thin. DeAndre Hopkins, okay, number one at this point in his career, but a good starter. Calvin Ridley, solid starter, a little inconsistent, but made a lot of money for a reason. But it was a pretty big fall, I think, to Treylon Burks, who's now probably number 4.
Yeah, I think Burks has taken a seat to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's where he should be. Is maybe not a seat, but like you throw in 30 snaps a game, you get him in the mix. So
I love that offensive coordinator.
We talked about the flautist.
Frank
Signetti. We talked about the flautist.
Yeah, like if medieval times, this is how flautists actually sound.
Can we not sleep on the sax man?
You couldn't. They really work well together. The whole.
You're making me wonder because Walker is in the decision-making process. They have to choose an instrument for orchestra next year.
Oh, yeah.
Or do chorus, but he doesn't want to do that.
Well, don't go.
Play the saxophone.
So,
Don't go flute.
now, sax, I think flute, though, you guys are talking up the flute, the flautist. It's light. I'm thinking more what's the heaviest to carry to school.
How old
I've
is Walker?
always wanted to play the saxophone. And you can like jam out to the saxophone. Saxophone at a
Like,
wedding.
have
is
you
a
ever
great
actually
time.
played the saxophone? As someone who played some
No.
horns back, I mean, it sucked.
You were honking
Yeah,
back then? So
tried a
early?
few.
What do you mean he played some horns?
Remember, like, our school was similar that everyone had to play an instrument.
Right.
And I tried the trumpet and the saxophone.
Oh, this
'cause it
wasn't
seemed
Delaware
cool.
related.
No, I was like, this is terrible. And I switched. It like hurts your lips. It's hard.
I did trumpet. I did trumpet and tuba.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Really?
Yeah, I played tuba. I did
Yeah,
tuba.
funk.
I played
He
tuba
seems like
out
a
of the
tuba guy.
novelty of it, and then it became me lugging a giant tuba to
Yeah,
school.
how much does that weigh?
Yeah, this is what I'm talking
That was
about.
like
What a mess.
I don't even remember. I was like in middle school. I had this big thing. Our instruments were old. It
Oh my
was-
gosh. That gives
we
me
walked
anxiety.
both the,
Like
the
sweating,
elementary and
kind
the
of
middle
carrying
school,
that around.
so it's a big consideration.
You don't want to be lugging around the immense instrument that you eventually leave in someone's car and
Yeah,
it's gone across
It's
town.
like a 5-year decision too if you go do it all through middle school. Maybe to high school.
If you were born in and about 1980, the sax by the late 80s was a very cool instrument because it was all over music on the radio and things of that nature.
I'm still into it.
And I remember everyone when it was like who could sign up for, like Greg's talking about, a band or whatever,
Yeah.
music classes. Everyone wanted to get on the sax, and I signed up too late. Couldn't get sax lessons, but then it turned out to be more like a criminal punishment for all the kids that were able to sign up because it was so hard apparently.
I quit so fast.
That it was like torture, and meanwhile I'm just like at extended recess while they're like in their own private hell trying to learn how to play an impossible instrument.
Awful. I went to school at a more realistic time where they realized 87% of these people probably have no music ability. So I had the option to take music history with a teacher named Mama Hodge.
Fun.
Yeah, Mama Hodge would just play records and you sit in the back row and don't do a lick of business.
What
not
is
a lick of
your
work.
what is your theory there? A more realistic time? What does that
Well,
mean?
it's like the entire class learns how to play an instrument. Like the vast majority of
but
people.
all it takes is one kid that really has a natural gift for it, and there's only one way to find out. Mark, you got to give
I
children
knew I didn't though.
access to music because music programs are so important to the education system.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't have to believe in every child in terms of every skill or ability.
Wow,
Realism.
I played the piano, and
I'm glad you're
wish
not an
I still
educator.
did.
I'll put it that way. With that attitude,
Music history is valuable too.
I
can't-
learned a lot.
I can't
Fun.
blame that, but I do like the idea that everyone gets a shot if they want.
it's like,
Well,
Dad,
I'm
can I
playing the role
try-
of villain in this conversation.
can I
but
try a horn? He said, no, you can't. Don't be. You got to be realistic, son.
if they want
right.
to, but you got a bunch of people sitting in like I did do chorus. It's like I'm going to be
Right.
come on, people.
One thing I would say, a life lesson from the saxophone trumpet time
Yes.
was, I think I quit that stuff so fast. Like, never let your parents tell you can't quit things if you feel it in your gut. I was to chorus weeks later, and I'm not a good singer, but it was a lot more fun.
You
and
can hide in
easier.
chorus.
Mark, imagine
Yes,
if you had
exactly.
a drum set that was just like put in front of you. How much would you have loved that as a kid?
We've got some breaking news. a trade on May 9th.
What?
And it's a trade worthy of May 9th. The Rams are sending Super Bowl champion wide receiver on the field during the game-winning drive to win the Super Bowl, Ben Skoranek, to the Texans.
Oh.
It's a trade.
Wow.
This is rough.
I'm speechless.
Comb in the desert over here.
So they cut him, and then they didn't cut him.
Well, they announced there was a report that they were cutting him, and the Texans apparently then called them and said, like, we'll give you what I've been guessing is like a 7th-round conditional type of pick.
Isn't Ben Skoranek when
had some moments.
when Odell got hurt in the Super Bowl, he was like thrust into a major role at the end of that game.
That's what I was saying. He's there.
That was he was there, but he was being targeted. I think he made one big catch, but also had a couple drops in the game.
That's
it was
absolutely
He
right.
vanished
It
last
was,
year because of Puka, but he was
yeah.
an interesting 7th-round player there for
He
a
played
few
some
seasons before that.
fullback, I believe,
Team
as well. the
captain,
following
too, last
year.
year.
And
he
people-
was
Yeah.
Connie.
Mhm.
Good nug.
Good on special teams.
All right, let's take a break and then we'll play a little Guess Who. All right, we are back. It is time now to have a little fun. Isn't that great, Colleen?
Oh my God,
it's
yeah.
so important. this
That's
summer.
great.
What's going on with the summer of Connie? I know, speaking of fun, what do you have planned this summer?
You know what? We're in the early stages of things. The Summer of Connie needs to unfold on its own. Like it's more of an organic in the moment
see.
type thing. So you kind of go wherever the world pulls you at any given time. So sometimes having no plan.
But no tickets
is
to
better.
Greece this year.
No tickets to Greece yet this year.
Not the play of the country.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. So staying stateside for right now.
All right. Well, we kind of lived through you, so there's
That's great.
almost a little bit of pressure for you to give us that experience.
If I recall, she talked about hosting a party at her compound like the hours after the draft ended. So that's
That is true. And then also, I feel like usually the kickoff happens around the time that we do a remote for the show.
Right.
That broadcast.
well. Don't hold your breath on that.
Okay. All right. So,
Blame
Right.
the NFL schedule for that maybe not falling into place this year.
all right.
But we will have a remote show at some
Cool.
point. All right, let's get into it. It's a game called Guess Who. We're going to talk about some people in the NFL world who, these are people that matter. Put it that way. And everyone, grab your whiteboard and
Okay.
a marker. The key to this game is we take turns laying out descriptions of this figure without trying to give it away immediately. Wait until the end of the setup to make your guess. Write it down on the board, and then we'll see if you guys are able to guess it correctly. I will get us going.
Mark and I are making eyes at each other
Like,
right
Well,
now.
I'm hoping I did. I did it. The exercise.
How are you feeling now that I've?
I thought we would
Said
be
that.
guessing after each one, but
We
I'm
are.
going to adjust. Okay.
We're
I
going
mean, like
one
after
at a time.
each clue.
We have
like after
multiple
each clue, yes.
clues.
Oh no,
That-
no,
right?
That's good.
it's a building
tiered.
tier.
We're all
Yeah.
Right.
we're all great improv actors.
Yep.
Like now it's time to maybe kill the one that was too obvious at the very end
Uh-huh.
that I had ready.
All right, hit it, Funk. Let's get into it. I am an important figure in the landscape of pro football.
That's literally anyone.
the look that
Greg just going to take my whiteboard
Where are
out
the
of
you
whiteboards?
should have seen the withering look that Mark just gave you, Greg, when you started tugging at his
Why not
whiteboard.
share? Why not share, buddy?
Because we all have one.
Why would we
Here we go.
share?
I found one under the table.
I need a marker, but I don't want you to touch it. All right.
I, in case you missed it, am an important figure in the landscape of pro football.
Okay.
I'm hot. Or maybe I'm not.
Hmm.
It's actually hard to say for sure.
Vague.
Don't let people see your answer, by the way.
I'm gonna rate early.
My NFL career to this point has not been a disappointment, but it's rarely been thrilling. I'm not a bust or a direct hit. The highs have been memorable, but not iconic. The lows mostly forgettable or explained away. I'm laying in the weeds right now, mostly forgotten as other players in my position group have assumed the mantle of the next big thing.
Hmm.
I still could be the next big thing. Society moves so fast, and we tend to make snap judgments on things that require more time to effectively understand. What's up with that? I'm not the type to run my mouth in the media or write a dopey personal letter on Derek Jeter's website. This is me, direct to the people, unfiltered by anyone. Blah. Enough. I'm actually largely formless in terms of personality, which has some ways ascribed a kind of mystery to me. Still, I remain a figure of legitimate intrigue and immense promise. Who am I? All right, we're going to go around.
Feel very confident.
All right, well, let me go to you third then.
Okay.
Let's start with Colleen.
I almost want to hear the clues again, but I know that's not part of the game.
Not how
It's not great for the show.
Would it be a great listening experience? And those at home can play along, obviously. The game has layers.
Okay, I'm going to say that it is a quarterback. And
That's correct.
the first quarterback I wrote
Give
was
us a ding.
Sam Howell, but
Leading the segment with Sam Howell would be
instead I'm
interesting.
going to go Zach Wilson.
All right, we're going to go now to Greg.
No
I'm not
way.
going to say whether
Explained
it's...
away.
No, because
Explained away.
he said this person was not a bust. So no way
Oh.
it's Zach
Mhm.
Wilson.
Mhm.
I wrote it down very early, and then as you got towards the end, I grew less confident.
Okay,
I'm going with Kyler Murray.
interesting. Okay, Marc Sessler.
What's going on with your Ys?
Did you
Greg?
show your board, by the way?
Oh, maybe not.
I got a little less confident as you crept along there too. I wrote this about 2 sentences in, but I went Trevor Lawrence.
That is correct.
Yeah, that is
the right
that's
answer.
It. That's it.
Trevor Lawrence.
I got stuck on Kyler, and
Great job, Mark.
Didn't get
I knew you'd get it.
Well, I also, I listened to what you say on the show, and Trevor Lawrence has been a figure that you brought up in the terms that you described right there multiple times.
Unbelievable the way, see, it all pays off.
It does.
Having that level of...
Good job.
but isn't it
bylaw.
interesting that Kyler also a #1 overall draft pick until you got to the part where like you had no idea about his personality, which that I was like, people kind of do have an idea about Kyler.
I mean, Kyler Murray's been has written posts.
I
and
know,
been
but
annoying.
he's
Tyler
saying like
hot?
you're.
Let's start with that. I mean, is
that's
Trevor Lawrence
where
an
I went.
attractive
Trevor
man?
Lawrence was like it was.
I should've known.
He's like statuesque, but it's hard to tell if he's like classically.
He's kind of like a Disney prince, but like when you take that and you take it out of animation and make it a real person, it's like, he looks a little almost too like angular and cartoonish.
This is the main reason.
How
why
about you,
wanted to
Colleen? What do you
discuss
think?
him.
Is Trevor Lawrence an attractive man?
I mean, he's fine.
No takes. Okay.
I mean, he's like 6'6". I think in person
I
you'd be
think that he's
you'd
like
be
a-
struck by him.
He's a good-looking kid. I look at him like he's a kid, though. So
Well, he is a full-blown adult, but
I get it though.
And now, just to kind of go over it, I do think he is laying in the weeds because he does have, in that division where everyone now has counted out the Jags, he could be the difference maker there. And I know you've made a point of it, Greg, like if you go back and rewatch, that was an absurd Jaguar season last year. It was a disappointing one, obviously, coming off.
The Eagles kind of let them off the hook of like unbelievable collapses because
You're right.
They collapsed
Yeah.
down the stretch.
they like reverse outshine them.
And Lawrence obviously ended the season injured and was banged up, but there were so many different moments where Trevor Lawrence almost had a huge play, a huge touchdown. The ball was bobbled or it was 1 foot down in the back of the end zone. Like that was a hallmark of their season, incredibly frustrating. So you wipe the board, and he's obviously, you would think, comes back 100% healthy. They do not. I think Doug Peterson said we're no longer like the hunted, we're the hunters and all that. I think if you believe in Doug Peterson, Connie, and I know that you have reason to believe in
I
Doug
do.
Peterson, Super Bowl champion, there's some pretty good bulletin board material and ways to get that team that does have talent, a lot of talent actually, to buy into the idea that nobody believes in us, and that matters in sports.
It was a disappointing year for him. Highest sack percentage he's ever had. Struggled to like connect down the field, and then they suddenly had Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr., who there wasn't the plan. They wanted to keep Ridley, and they got outbid. And those two guys are very similar to me, just like total burners.
Yeah,
so it's sort of the opposite of last year where they weren't throwing the ball down the field. He felt a little too conservative, had a lot of interception. He wasn't bad, but this is a guy, I kind of forgot this, but he finished 7th in MVP voting in 2022. He actually got a few like third place votes there in MVP.
And,
which is a little
was the
too much.
quarterback of one of the great comebacks in playoff history in round 1.
He was fine, though. But you're right that the world moves on. That was the part where I thought you were talking about Kyler, because I was like, Kyler is sneaky only 1 year older than Michael Penix, like, and he's still a very talented player. And the world's really moved on from him, but Lawrence made more sense.
I mean, I thought there were like trade whispers around Kyler Murray. Like
Right.
Trevor
Yeah.
Lawrence is years away of unproductive play to be called a bust. I think if anything, he's
no, he's good.
big bounce back candidate.
I need to write down the clues
Yeah.
so I can reference them as they build.
All right, now that you know
This is
the
like
exercise.
quarterback ranking season, and I've seen some pop up, and I still see him creeping into the top 10, which surprises me. I would not have.
Did you roll that other market off the table?
I did,
No.
yes.
It was unintentional, but it rolled off the glass table. There's
Hold
no
on a
boundaries
second.
on the
Where
table.
Who wants
is
to
it?
go
I
next?
gotcha.
Who wants to go next?
That's
Colleen.
good.
Okay. Here we go. I'm an NFL bad boy from Mississippi
Gregg Rosenthal.
that just enjoyed my first Pro Bowl season. I set franchise records my rookie year and melted hearts across this beautiful country. I have hair like a god, and my grandfather wanted me to be named Beowulf after an old English poem about a hero from Sweden who travels to Denmark and kills man-eating monsters, and
Hell
later
yeah.
in life confronts and kills a fire-breathing dragon but dies in the effort.
I remember that one from 9th grade.
My current team was always my 1 seed, and unlike Les Snead, I certainly know how to change a tire.
Oh!
After spending an off-season on an old prison bus, I often find myself in a competition,
Whoa!
but I'm still number 1 in your wife's heart. I like rock and roll, throwing dimes, catching up on my Hunter Thompson collection. Jock straps and lava lamps keep me going strong into my 6th NFL season on my 4th team. I can go one more little bit here, but
I like that none of us will get it at this point, but
okay.
maybe I'm wrong.
6th NFL season,
Wow.
4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
The ladies love him.
Okay.
He is from Mississippi.
Oh, I'm so happy. I thought
Number
this was gonna
1
be
in
too
your
obvious.
wife's heart. That one is.
Yeah, that's.
Do you want to give us the last hint?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to write mine now and just see.
I like denim and patches, aviators and bandanas.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm totally lost.
I actually still don't really know, but I have a guess. Do you want to?
Oh, wait. Hold on. How many teams did you say?
4.
Oh, I think I know what it is. That's still the number 1 in your wife's heart is a weird one to me, but
All right, let's see. Who am I?
we all are thrown up. I got Gardner Minshew. Greg has Gardner Minshew.
Sessler?
Oh, I thought it was a defensive player.
But you had me stumped until then.
I thought it was for some reason.
Is
a
that it?
defensive player,
I
but
am
that's good.
the jockstrap king. I am Uncle Rio.
good.
I am Gardner Minshew.
I don't
All
know.
right.
Do you think that the typical wife longs for Gardner Minshew?
I
versus-
think only because it's probably because I have a text chain with some people that you all know
Oh.
Okay.
who
And they fire
Love.
into the.
Okay.
loves
That's
physically
that's
attractive?
on the ground reporting though. That's
Really?
That's what we want.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's conventionally attractive. I never put that together.
Oh yeah, she's
You know,
like
sometimes
calls
it's just
him
the
daddy,
personality
like-
though. You know.
yeah,
Oh, I need to find out who's saying this.
yeah.
And also
you'll love it too.
the way he carries himself with a lot of confidence, like I can
Yeah.
understand why
That absolutely. I mean,
would
the
be
personality and the overall
Yeah.
Minshew-esque
There's
energy.
a great
yes.
relationship with his dad, like that kind of stuff. Is like, oh, he's sweet too.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was a good one.
Okay,
That was great.
Colleen, you're on fire.
Excellent.
All right, Greg, you are up next.
Okay. Play the music. Wish I got more.
I don't need your pen. Mark. Maybe
I
you
was
guys will get me sick.
I was featured on the Netflix series QB1 Beyond the Lights. I changed my nickname in college because it was problematic.
Oh no.
Dixie Chicks.
The owner of the team that drafted me once called me a superhero. I've started 17 games at my position since high school. In my first 3 starts, I had 4 rushing touchdowns, setting an NFL record. I don't want to give you the next one. I'll give it away.
Well, I'm stumped. I don't know who you guys are.
Okay.
How you doing, Mark?
The 17 starts threw me way off course.
Since high school?
Okay, I'll give you one more then, which is I was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Oh.
Top 5 picks, 17 high school starts.
17 games at his position since high school.
17 games at his position. Oh, interesting.
Maybe I made it too hard.
I like that you weren't going to give us the last one. He's only played, so he's not a quarterback.
But he was on the quarterback.
He was on the Netflix series QB1
I don't even know
Beyond
that
the Lights.
show. I don't know. I missed that one. QB1 Beyond the Lights is like a deep Gregg cut.
He changed his nickname in college. This is because it was problematic. For me, that was...
Can you give us the nickname? Maybe that one as a hint?
No.
Oh.
Ooh, I shouldn't have even answered you.
Very cloak and dagger.
17 total starts or 17 starts at the position he was
17
drafted in?
games at his position.
Okay.
And did he play different positions?
What is this?
Now it's questions.
21 questions.
Yeah. Truth or dare? I said what I said.
That's not truth or dare. All right, go ahead.
All right, let's look around the room. Mark has crossed out Marcus Mariota and Julian Edelman.
No, it's not Edelman, but I thought it was maybe Mariota until the 17 starts off the. Wasn't he on like the other quarterback?
I'm totally stunned.
was.
You got me.
Were they successful in the NFL?
I wish the at his position seems to really have thrown you. He didn't actually change positions. Did you write anything?
No, I just wrote down the hints thinking it would help.
All right, I will get. Should I give you the nickname?
Yeah,
at least. But the nickname was AR-15.
Oh.
Oh.
I mean,
it is Anthony
Allen
Richardson.
Robinson?
It is Anthony Richardson.
Oh.
Oh.
We talked about
Superhero.
Spencer Rattler was on that show too, and it hurt his draft stock also on that show.
That's you should get darted for that.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
15. 17. That's all
Yeah,
there,
thank
Greg.
you.
That's a good one. That's
Good
a good
job.
job by you, Greg.
Yeah.
Should have had that. The superhero thing. That's what Ursay said that, right?
Ursay said that.
Oh, damn it. All right, let's take a break and
Bad
we'll go
job.
around one more time.
Stumped us.
Mark, you're up.
Okay.
Can I have your board?
Yes, here are my contents.
You could hold on to your
board and pen.
Your marker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Drums, please.
No drums. It's pensive violin. Synthesizer, maybe.
Okay.
I'm a controversial figure lodged in the American Football Conference. I'm so controversial that some like to act as if I'm not even part of the league to make themselves feel better about their worldview, which says more about them than me.
Whoa.
When I'm not on the football field, I am involved with my music. And when I enjoy lunch, I like to have a glass of milk with freshly baked bread. Who the wouldn't?
Bread is underrated.
I have an unusual name that small-minded types make fun of because it's somewhat androgynous, and in fact, used liberally by groups of young girls. I have a family line that dates back to the early 16th century. When I was a child, a relative gave me this write-up about my lineage, which reads, "We are typically hairy-chested and live in houses and farms with people. We undertake a range of domestic and agricultural chores on the understanding that we get free board and lodging." Some people complain that I dominate the football field in a way that makes it tough to focus on the actual game. There's one more clue.
I can use it.
Myles Garrett steps all over me, but he believes in me.
What?
Controversial figure. Oh, okay. I guess you kind of gave it.
I would bet that Greg has it.
A name that girls use?
Now thinking back to all the clues, it's amazing.
I don't know. I'll guess first on this one because I really don't know. First, I thought it was like Deshaun, but no. And then Mason
Same.
Rudolph, but he was bashed in the helmet with a helmet by Myles Garrett, right? Taylor Heineke?
No.
I mean, you had it, Dan. It is Mason Rudolph,
No.
I believe. No?
It's
No.
not?
No.
I don't have. I
Why
wrote
would
down
I?
Deshaun Watson first.
It is.
Bread and milk.
Never discount
Chad?
Greg's utter confidence in himself.
I mean, how
I
would
thought
it?
you had it. Here it is. It's Brownie the Elf.
Oh,
That
damn
was
it.
all over me. That's good.
all right.
That was
The
good.
brownies, girls.
Controversial
Brownies,
figure.
pre-Girl
I
Scout
like that.
groups.
Mark.
Oh,
That was
I
cute.
thought it was like a trendy thing on TikTok
What are we
that like
doing?
girls were calling guys.
No, I mean,
Mark, how would any of us ever guess that?
because
No, that's fun.
there is,
That's
if you
fun.
think about it, like one of the people, they've done polls for people, a lot of Browns
Right.
fans don't like that midfield giant elf, and it does on television, depending on how the Browns are dressed, they get a little lost in the weeds visually.
But he believes in me. I wish I think he led us in a
That's
beautiful direction. The,
really
the
good.
lineage was hilarious. That was good. For some reason, then I was like, all right, must be Mason Rudolph.
Bread and milk.
That's the true thing about them, according to what more research.
That's
I did.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Okay.
All right, who's up?
All right, I'm
I
up.
can't top that.
Okay. Big Funk. Here we go. I'm both the
Board,
villain.
please.
What?
Board, please.
Oh God. Jeez. You're so needy. Okay. Here we go. Again, take
All right,
two.
here we go.
I'm
All
both.
right, you ready?
I'm gonna kill you. I'm going to slap you.
All right, go ahead.
You're good? Okay. I'm both the villain and the hero, the sinner and saint. I will dictate your future whether you like it or not. I'm tied to not one, but all. I'm everywhere and nowhere. And once I bestow the fruits of my labor, they will be etched in stone for the rest of time.
Whoa.
Now it's my turn. My time. I'm the darling. I call the shots. I do the interviews. I get the shine.
It's about me.
Okay. I operate in the shadows with a deep network of intelligence. I have the answers, you only have questions. But soon my information will be revealed and I will again retreat to my bunker of silence.
Oh, yeah.
A seemingly endless array of combinations is my wheelhouse. Only Cynthia Freeland likes algorithms more than me. And if you tell my secrets before I'm ready to share, the wrath of the Almighty will take you swiftly and the rapture will begin.
No.
Who am I?
Wow.
That was well written, Colleen.
Thank you.
I'm going to go with Howie Roseman.
No.
No?
I went NFL schedule makers.
Okay.
That's close enough. Why,
Oh,
what did you
wow.
who did you have?
I went with the Pell Raiser.
I am Mike North,
Okay.
VP of Broadcast Planning.
The Pellraiser.
Howie Roseman.
I'm gonna file an official complaint and tell me that none of any of that wasn't true
Everything
for the Pell
checks
Raiser.
out. Now that I'm listening, now going through my head, yes, everything does connect technically.
Yeah,
It's
except
about
that
me.
Hellraiser doesn't disappear into the shadows. I feel he's constantly with us.
Right.
Sometimes.
That's fun. That's a fun one.
That was-
Mike
I love
North.
Mike.
Well
I
done.
love Mike North
Mike
season
North.
so much.
It's Mike North
He's
season.
going to get a text like, hey,
Oh, he's
you were
gonna be on
involved in a
Sirius
game of Guess
XM.
Who?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I believe, but yeah, people in that office listen to this show. You know, because
Well, shout out Mike
I've
North.
mentioned many times that they were basically right around the corner when I had a desk at the NFL offices in business development, and then
This old yarn.
saw them over the years, and I believe they are fans of around the NFL.
All right, we have one more,
Okay.
and it will be from Greg.
Okay.
All right.
My career started much like Marc Sessler by writing a letter to a famous NFL figure. This NFL figure was Ron Wolfe.
Letter to Ron Wolfe.
A recent video counted the number of times I said the word buddy during the NFL draft. I said it 22 times.
Buddy.
I currently have a lot of dip on my chip, including the making of a social video right before the draft, arguably mocking our team's fans that were up in arms over a silly story. A lot of dip.
Dip on my chip.
A lot of dip.
Is that an expression?
I helped to acquire every member of my franchise's only title except for 4. One of those 4 players was Brandon Mebane.
What? Stop it. I hate you, Greg.
Just the throw. Should I leave it there?
I have a guess.
Okay, I think you've got it. The last one's probably going to give it away.
That actually is not what gave it away, but I don't even know if I'm right.
Okay, my last 2, just for the hell of it,
Yeah.
Marc does have it right, is that I'm famous for a shirtless picture,
Yes, there we go.
and that I
Oh.
quietly pushed out the man this offseason most associated with my success.
Okay. So I had it wrong, actually.
Oh.
I had
So-
less need.
I thought maybe that Elliot Wolfe wrote Ron Wolfe a letter at first, but I'd crossed that out. I thought Chris Ballard was spicy during the draft. Trent Baalke had that thing happen to him. But John Schneider.
Yeah,
Yes.
90.
Oh, that's good. That's real good.
A lot of dip on the chip, I've
A
noticed
dip on-
lately.
I
What was
thought
the silly Seahawks story, though?
So everyone was upset that the new coach took down pictures in the hallway. This is an off-season trope, by the way, that new coaches do this and then the fans get upset. Supposedly they had taken down a lot of the pictures in certain parts of the hallways of the Seahawks. So then Schneider and Mike McDonald taped multiple social clips like in front of various pictures saying how they were excited for the draft.
Yikes.
That was a
Huh.
fun move. I liked it.
Dip on my chip is real great. And
I'm just noticing, kind of like we're noticing with Chris Ballard, certain things. There's a difference with Schneider. It's kind of like he's been in middle, almost like a vibe, he's been in this middle management position. Not that he has been, but as if the boss that he's always been waiting to leave is gone, and now he's running the show. A lot of dip on.
I know that
That's happened in our newsroom at times.
Sure.
I'm pretty, I don't want to say I'm pretty sure, but who knows. But I think Les Snead is a dip guy, by the way. So that's where I was.
I was thinking
thought he was
about a
going
dip
tobacco
too.
shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
No, I was thinking more like the phrase,
I know,
there's
look at you, Greg.
a lot of dip on your chip.
And
You're
I
like,
was like,
you're
I
like
s-
Dick Clark over here, world's
You got
oldest
it. You got
teenager.
it.
Pretty good.
You have too much dip on your chip means that being lost in something can affect other parts of your life.
I've never heard this phrase
The
before.
phrase uses hurt to encourage you, but not to rule you. What the?
I think of it also sometimes
According
like
to TikTok,
for
that's
instance-
worse there.
like Baker Mayfield would strike me as a
Greg's an
person
influencer.
that sometimes even on the field had a little too much dip for his chip. He almost trying to be a little too much extra, and maybe it's gonna come back to bite.
I'm a heavy dipper, so I don't know. Like it's tough. I feel like there's a lot of like innuendo.
There's an old Texan saying that I know from my family now that too much sugar for a dime.
Yeah.
Huh?
I like that. I have no idea what it means, but
Too much sugar for a dime is like it's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble.
the other one, the other phrase can only be post chips and salsa. And I was trying to think, how long have chips and salsa been around? Does anyone know? I don't know.
54
The
years.
show should have ended about 5 minutes ago.
It's the advent of time.
Chips and dip, 1992. That's when it started.
And he
There we go.
he came up through that Ron Wolfe Packers front office back in the day. John Schneider.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. That is it.
Elliot Wolfe writing Ron Wolfe a letter.
I thought I might have been how that relationship began, but it's just.
Well, I think it began much earlier.
All right. Let's take a break and we'll close up.
Welcome back to the show.
Very nice. Very nice, Colleen. We are wrapping things up. By the way, big soccer weekend coming up.
Oh boy.
Shalin Patel, my buddy, owner, impossibly, of West Brom. Big home and home with Southampton. I actually reached out to Johnny Gonzalez.
Oh yeah?
You're familiar with his work, right?
Yes.
To kind of explain to me what's at stake this weekend for West Brom, the team, the footy team of around the NFL. Anyway, West Brom plays Southampton in a home and home. Winner of that on aggregate advances to play winner of Norwich City and Leeds. Winner of that is promoted to the Premium League.
Premier League.
Premier, excuse me. Jesus Christ.
The Premium League.
It is the Premium League. It's not totally wrong.
And it's Premier League.
Premier.
Yeah.
The Premium Premier League. And John,
Never too late for a rebrand for them.
yeah, Southampton and Leeds got relegated from Premier last season. So this is huge. In fact, Shalin had told me if they do jump up to the Premier League, there might be a private jet involved and a trip to celebrate.
For you.
No, like for the group.
Oh,
When
for all of us.
does that happen? During the summer of Connie?
Yeah.
This is why I keep my schedule open.
I'd have to go back and check the wording to see if it like involves Marc, for instance. But I think it was like a collective.
He was just like, yeah, Greg, Colleen, all the guys.
Dan,
Big
Greg, all the
funk.
guys.
Yeah, please clarify. Yeah, I'd like to know.
And I do
I'm
know.
annoyed now.
Speaking of Big Funk, Big Funk is actually kind of our source. He really knows. You're a big fan of the European.
I love it.
The Premium League.
Football. Yeah.
I love Premier League. So below the Premier League, it's called the EFL Championship, English Football League Championship. Below that, you have leagues 2 and 1, and then below that is like the national side. It's a pyramid pretty much.
Right.
The way it constructs. That's why sometimes online you'll see, 9th tier side, whatever, played against League 2 side, whoever, such and such. So it's a big deal. Because when you
This
get promoted
explanation
up,
would be so much better with your theme song underneath it, by the way.
I mean, everything in
I
life
feel
would be.
all right, fair enough. I feel okay.
All right, start over.
Okay, sure.
So it's an inverted pyramid.
Yeah, pretty much. So the top of the top is the Premier League.
Oh, wait a
I mean, it's
second.
just a
It's just
pyramid.
a regular pyramid.
I mean, that's how pyramids work.
Inverted. It's
Big Funk. It's a pyramid. All the leagues. Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
All right. So the way it works is you want to get promoted up because if you get promoted up, you get TV money, you get sponsorship money. That's
You get
why
private jets.
you get private jets.
Hey.
Yeah.
And the opposite happens when you get relegated. So if you get bumped down a league, you lose players, you lose out on lots of revenue, and sometimes that can leave teams in financial ruin. So it's a really big deal if these guys get promoted because just because you make it one year doesn't guarantee you'll make it the next year.
Right.
Last year, Coventry made it with Luton. Luton got promoted. Coventry ended up 8th this year. And so you can make it really close and then be stuck in that league for a decade or
yeah.
decades. So it's
And
a
when's
big
the
league.
last time that West Brom has been in the Premier League?
I think it's been a little under 10 years.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
remember exactly. For instance, second place side, Ipswich,
Yeah.
which finished below Leicester, they're automatically promoted. It's the
absolute,
first
Marc.
time in 20 years they've been promoted. So, and I think they're called the Tractor Boys or the Tractors, but they're getting promoted up. So it's a big deal. So
All right. That's a great rundown. Thank you very much.
you betcha. I think it's
Yeah,
up West
go
Brom.
ahead.
Up West Brom. There about that.
And
I mean, your friend is
The baggies.
Your friend
Gonzo
Up the baggies.
suggested coming over your house at 6:15 in the morning or something to watch this.
I'm down. I'm down. If
That's
anybody
great.
wanted to come over to watch it, I would not turn the door.
Your friend
Wouldn't
is about to
close the
get
door on you.
very, very. Sounds wealthy to begin with. The whole contingent.
I mean, he
even
owns-
more, even
yeah.
wealthier. But
You're basically
He's
an
doing
owner,
well.
Dan. How does it feel?
I'm the friend of a rich person. That doesn't really help you, actually.
Well,
But
it does if he sends his jet.
that's true.
what if you were in need?
Nice
He'd help you.
experience.
Sure.
Nice little PJ action.
I mean,
That's
I don't.
good.
What do you mean, like come to him with my hand out? That's not my style, bro.
Well, that's not.
I don't come with my hand out.
But if you were in
It's not my
dire
style.
need, he could
It's
help
not my
you with
style, though.
resources to help you.
But you would fly on the private jet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A little different. You would too, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Yes.
What if they gave me a list of 7 people can go on the jet?
Oh my God, that would be Dan's dream. To pick the 7
I'd definitely
people.
hold interviews.
It would become a full reality show.
Right. It would be. It would take care of a lot of summer programming for the podcast. So that would be good.
All right. Thank you to everybody for listening. Go Baggies. Let's do this thing. And we'll be back on Monday with more football goodness. And yes, I believe we'll talk about the schedule at some point as well. Whenever they deign to let us know officially.
Take your time.
Come on, Mike North.
We'll be here, Northy. Till then, heed the call.